you need to remember or memorize these tips always, right? So I'm not just explaining things to you for just for the sake of it, right? I want you to keep them in your mind every time you try to answer a reading question, right? So all the tips that I'm just going to explain you in a minute, you have to memorize these tips and keep them in your mind whenever you are trying to solve any reading question, right? So let's start. Step number 1, do not try to understand everything. In reading exam, your main aim should not be to understand the passage but to locate your answer. Most questions will only test your ability to locate that specific information. By specific information, I mean the correct answer. Only matching that headings or title questions would require you to at least understand some part of the passage, right? And however, we know that how to crack that as well. So we know how to solve those questions without completely understanding the passage, right? So crux is, do not even try to understand everything in reading exam. Second one, read the instructions carefully. You cannot miss the instructions. You need to read them carefully before starting any reading question. For example, if instruction tells you that you have to write no more than 3 words, that means you can write 1, 2 or 3 words. So these things you need to take care in exam, because these are very important. If it happens that instruction says that you cannot write more than 2 words and you wrote 3 words, so that will be wrong. The answer will be completely wrong, right? So you need to take care of these minute things as well. Third tip, check spellings. So your spellings should be 100% correct. You can check your spellings from the passage and you need to copy exact same word from the passage. Although it's going to be very rare, if you see that by copying an answer from the passage your question or statement becomes grammatically incorrect, then only you should modulate your answer to make it look grammatically correct. But that would happen in very rare case. Most of the times you need to copy, not most, almost all the times you need to copy exact word from the passage, right? So your spelling should be 100% correct. You cannot miss this. Fourth tip, so you do not need it's okay if you do not know the vocabulary for the passage topic. You may see many websites or even top Ielts online tutors will ask you to improve your subject vocabulary. And how can you do that? You read journals, read about the environment, physics, etc., read newspapers. Do not fall under those traps. You do not need to waste your time there. It's completely okay if the passage seems unfamiliar to you. When you look at the sentences and word around it, you'll get a clue as to what this line is saying, and that's enough for you to know your answer, right? So you don't need to be worried about high vocabulary here. So instead of wasting your time on learning high-end vocabulary, spend some more time finding the keywords and answers for reading exam. Let's look at another tip. Skimming, scanning and careful reading. Although I did not use these words much in my course, I believe you must have heard of these terms. I will define each term and I'll tell you how you can use these techniques to find your answer. Though I have already talked about everything in my course, still I am explaining you so that if you read somewhere these words, then you know what they mean. So skimming basically means reading something quickly to get the idea of each sentence or to know what this sentence is talking about. Scanning is your ability to locate the information quickly and has no relation to understanding of the statement. So if you are skimming through any statement, so you are trying to understand what this statement says, and when you are scanning, you are only scanning for that keyword which you need. And careful reading So it means you read a sentence slowly to comprehend its meaning and complete understanding. So let's see when you require which technique. So let me explain you where you need to implement these steps now. Scanning is required whenever you are going to find the keywords in the passage. So you remember I told you in all those steps that you have to find the keyword in the passage, right, to find the right answer. So that's what scanning is going to come into picture. Skimming technique is required whenever you're going to read the questions to understand what this passage or what's the crux of this passage or what this passage is all about. And careful reading is required for only one type of question. So careful reading is required whenever you are reading, first line of each paragraph, right? Not first, second, or last line, as I just mentioned right in my video. So in that at that time, you have to carefully read each line of paragraph. You have to carefully read each. You have to carefully read first, second, or last line of each paragraph. Right. So next step. Okay, keep the order. So some questions would always come in order. What that means is, if you have found the answer to the first question in the first line of in the last line of first paragraph, then you can start from the first line of second paragraph to look for the answer to the second question, right? So in my reading question type video, I have talked about 5 major question types, as you can see. So for these, filling the blanks, multiple choice questions, and true, false, or not given question type questions will always come in the order. So for example, if you are solving any multiple choice question and you have got the answer in the last line of first paragraph, and then for question number 2, you can start from the first line of second paragraph, right? So that's what you need to keep in your mind while solving first 3 type of questions. Now choose from the list and summary. So that those question types may or may not come in order, so you have to look through all the passage to find the answer. Now next step, do not overthink any answer. So I have seen students getting the wrong answer simply because they think too much about too much about the answer. So they end up marking incorrect answer, right? So you need to work on your wrong intuition. So I've already created one dedicated video on this, I think rule number 4, where I talked about this wrong intuition. So in that case, if that's the case with you, you need to work on this as well, right? So these were the 7 tips which I wanted to discuss with you guys. I hope you will keep these tips in your mind whenever you're trying to solve reading question. So that's it guys from this video. I'll see you in my next video.